I was like, where am I? Hello, we didn't see you there.
Oh, well, that's right here on the table. Scooch in this one.
Really clean?
Really clean.
No.
Oh, I want to use this for a project, though. That's my box of bingo. Or, yeah, bingo.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Winnie, can talk. So, go for it.
Patron Deities. Now, this isn't an altar setup. We do not keep all these deities on one altar together.
I was going to say something catty, but I probably better not.
That was catty enough, what I said.
Yeah. So.
So to you, what is a patron deity? I know we got this question like a long while back.
Yeah.
And we're just getting to it now. Hello. So what is a patron deity to you?
For me, patron deity is a deity that I work with exclusively. But it's not somebody that I, just pray to them and ask them for help, whoever, and everything like that. But for me, a patron deity is, literally my patron. It's who I go to for help. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to pray to other gods or ask them for help. In my own personal practice, I don't really do that in the first place. So a lot of my spells are just based on my will and, what I go with spirits, stuff like that. But a patron is somebody that I had developed a special relationship with. Somebody that I can go to and talk to. Stuff like that. And I like the way we like to do it with us is to have a statue or representation of the deity. So we have a number of different ones here. Now our patron deities can be either male or female. It's up to you. What's it?
What about it?
What's a patron deity? What's a patron deity be?
Patron deity to me is someone who, if you're feeling lost in your spiritual practice and you don't have anyone like a teacher or someone to go to, you can go to them, kind of ask for signs, follow in their teachings. Learn to adapt what you learn from the deity in your life. It doesn't mean, like he said, it doesn't mean you go to them for help with everything or you have to constantly work with them. But it's almost, I see it like a spiritual parent.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a little bit more like fluff and love. Sometimes it's a little bit more forceful. If you're asking for help from them and you're wanting to not really listen, sometimes they'll push you anyways. You asked for the help.
Mm-hmm.
With anything that goes with asking for it, you may not always be receptive to a way that you receive your answer or the help that you're looking for, but it does end up coming through. What is your opinion on patrons choose you versus you choose them?
I believe it. That's my opinion. Well, in the past, I've always been told, I read that, you can choose a patron deity, someone to work with, but doesn't necessarily mean they're going to want to work with you. Some people will say, well, I have a patron deity from this culture and this culture and this culture. If you've seen our videos and been watching them for a while, you know where we stand on mixing them. So we don't, we'll call like Thoth in with Diana or anything like that. That could just be asking for trouble right there. But for me, patron deities, they choose by, I feel that they choose us, or, we choose them. Sometimes we get lucky and it's like, hey, this deity is listening to us and it works. But other times I've had deities, not saying I'm special or anything like that. A lot of people kind of question my sanity on this, but I'll have dreams of deities. And I'll get into something like that here in a little bit. But one of my patrons, and she's been my patron for a long time, the past few years, is Diana, goddess of the hunt.
Oh, I was
What
like,
about you?
with me, my patron deity has pretty much been the same since I started. I was just beginning with experimenting with different magical rituals and spells. A lot of it started out, like I said before in previous videos, with reverse Christianity. And then I started making contact with different spirits and entities and kind of started developing more towards witchcraft. And then I later got books on Wicca. But before that, Hecate actually came to me. And that's how that started. And I think she kind of has led me in all these different ways, because just like she's the goddess of the crossroads, there are all these possible roads and avenues that you can go down to learn things. I asked to learn secrets and mysteries, magic, sorcery, witchcraft. I feel like I've been led down so many of those roads since I began working in any type of magical system and asking her to help me then. and I was maybe 12 at the time. I hadn't picked up a book on witchcraft before. The name Hecate, I kept hearing it like being whispered, and from there I later, because in middle school they finally got computers in. After that I started researching there.
So how did Hecate choose you, do you think? Other than just coming across her name?
I seriously think it was her whispering. Because I was getting kind of irritated because I felt like I wasn't doing what I could have been doing. I was like, I'm going through puberty, I feel so energetic, I want to do something. And at the time I was like, some kind of deity help me. Gods of old ways, someone help me. I would sit out in nature, and back then I was into meditation a whole lot more. I need to get back into that. I need to kick myself back into that drive.
Yes, you did. So
I've gotten a whole lot better though. Yeah. But that's how I started to hear the whisper of Hecate. And now whenever I do hear her, when clairaudience kicks in, it sounds just like it did then. Because I would hear whispers and I would say, who is this? And all I would hear is, Hecate.
If you didn't hear that, you said Hecate.
Yeah. And I noticed, like, I was talking with someone and they said that a lot of people that they, not a lot, but a few practitioners that person knows of that are devotees to Hecate end up whispering a lot of their incantations, which I was like, oh, cool. Been doing it. I guess it's just like a common trait. I don't know if it's with everyone, but it's kind of nice to see that I'm not the only one under that deity that does that.
Yeah. With me, one of my first patron deities was Keranos. It's right here. I actually found this statue. I used to have a green one, but he exploded. It was like a magic attack, and all of a sudden the cat just kind of looked at the statue and right in front of us, like, oh!
She's like, I have a name.
Yeah.
She's over there.
Mojo.
Yeah.
And yeah, the statue just exploded right there on its shrine. I was like, okay, that can't be a good thing. And so all I got was a clear sense was that, the statue took a magic hit because it was the one statue that was always on my main altar. But after that, I didn't really try working with him or anything like that again. I felt like I kind of went as far as I could with him. But how I met, he became my patron in the first place was years ago when I first started really practicing. Well, one instance that happened was I was really getting into witchcraft and Wicca, and I was outside and I was thinking about patron deities, and I happened to look up into the clouds and I saw the figure of a man's face, but with horns. And I was just like, okay, that's weird. I need a camera for this. Went inside to get the camera, came back out, it was gone. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind. And then a few years later, again, I have this dream where I'm standing in the woods, and I see an elk or a big deer or a stag standing there, and it goes walking behind the tree. And when it walked up behind the other side of the tree, it was Keranos. He had the antlers and everything, and the full male figure, and he just kind of stood there. And he just said, "If you ever need anything, all you have to do is ask." I was like, "Oh, okay." Apparently, I didn't really understand the difference between need and want at the time. I learned, but so that was that, and so I kind of work with him off and on here and there. And probably about a few years ago, I started to get omens and signs from Diana. And how that happened was, I was at a local bookstore and I just saw one of the old paintings, like I guess they're called fresco paintings, of her, and she's just standing there, and I was like, oh, that's cool, Diana. And I kind of walked off, mind my business. And then I kept hearing her name. Her name just kept popping up everywhere, like Diana, Diana, Diana. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. I wonder if the gods are trying to give me a sign that I'm just not paying attention. So I happened to walk into a used bookstore, and then I saw the painting of Diana on the book again, and I was like, I'm going to get that next time I come back. I happened to walk into the back of the bookstore where they had statues, and I found her. So this one is actually by Sacred Source, and usually they don't come painted. But her, I found, and she was painted. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take you home. Took her home, cleansed off the statue, poured a big cup of wine, just sat there chilling with her, and, meditated with her on the night of the new moon. It worked, and since then she's kind of been my patron. And every time that I really need help with something in my life, something with her or reference to her comes up. I have another statue that's one of the more bigger ones. It's all white. And, it came around the time I was really going through some changes and I just needed some help. And I was just like her saying, I'm here, fool, listen. So she's my patron, and I'll do work with her, and channel information and stuff like that. So that's how she became my patron.
Speaking of that, now I get what you're hinting at about symbols that they may be, or omens or portents that come up. So also, whenever I had first started kind of reaching out, trying to find some way of learning, when the whispers started with Hecate, I also started noticing when I would go to places, I would find keys, which was kind of cool. And then anytime I went to a thrift store or something, because I used to get everything at the thrift store, I used to kind of get bullied for it, but I love thrift stores, I don't care. But back then, I would try to find something I can use for magical purposes at thrift stores. I was in middle school, okay? So I would find a bunch of keys, and I kind of would think there's a lot of keys up in here every time I come here, as opposed to before when there was hardly any. And then I would find really cool snake symbols somewhere. I would find pictures of them torn out of magazines and stuff around the library at school. I would find them in different places, sometimes owls, or constantly on TV. And it wasn't Snake Week or anything. There was a lot of snakes that would show on the TV when I would walk by, owls even. And from there, I was just kind of I'm gonna go on the net, look this up, and then I found all of them being connected with her.
Yeah, and how we have shrines dedicated to our patrons.
Separate.
Yeah, they're separate. They don't have the same thing. Diana and Hecate get along together, but we keep them off separate altars.
They don't like being I like to think of an altar. They don't like being roommates. They like having their own.
So with my Diana shrine, it's here in the living room. Can't really show you because it's on the other side of the room and it blends in with the wall because it's the white statue, and I have a white candle. Yeah, it's a white wall, but it's on top of a DVD case. Yeah, we gotta work with what we got. We have limited space. But she's there. There's an incense burner specifically for her. There's a white candle that's been dressed with oil that's made specifically for her. And I even got an incense blend. I can't remember how I came across that incense blend. I don't remember the recipe right now. I need to try to figure that out. But I mixed it specifically for her because with meditation one night, she just came through and she's like, make my incense. I'm like, okay. So I made the incense and it smelled really awesome. And she gave me some hints and everything like that. Now, how do I know it's Diana? Just practice, years of practice and working with her, so I recognize it, as being her.
Deities have a very distinct presence.
But yeah, and you'll hear us talk about trickster spirits. How do you know it's not a trickster spirit? It's because when I do ritual work with her, I invoke her specifically. So just there are other aspects of Hecate, there are other aspects of Diana and other aspects of deities. So we call on specific ones as needed, but it takes time to get up to that. And usually how we do that with our own practice is devotional work. The giving of offerings. You're not just going to go up to a deity and be
hey, give me this job.
Yeah. It's I don't know you. Stuff like that.
I'm a lady.
Yeah, it's somebody coming up to you and oh, can you help me with this? I'm I'm sorry, who are you? When working with patron deities, introduce yourself.
Talk about how you would like to build a relationship. Are you being completely selfish, or is it being mundane, I guess is a better way than saying selfish? Or are you looking for spiritual development, spiritual evolution? What are you wanting to do with this deity? Why do you even want to talk to them?
Why do you want to become a devotee or to worship them, follow them, to work with them?
Are you wanting to develop traits that they carry? Are you wanting to become like them? Are you wanting to learn from them based on what they've done historically or mythologically? What about it draws you to them? And is it actually something that you just think is cool versus something that is actually calling? I've heard of a lot of people working with different deities because they think that they're cool, but sometimes that's not the right deity for you.
Yeah. And you got to look up the history of the deity if they don't get along with other deities. If they had rifts in the past. And we've mentioned some people that we know that have done that, and things just end up very chaotic for them.
I was speaking of Hecate, and we have to meet her. So, should we talk about examples?
Yeah, but no names. This one's to meet her. I found her at the same used bookstore, and she came painted too. So it might have been from the same person who did this one, but I love this, and I just grabbed her, and I was sure.
She's really pretty.
Yeah, I feel a draw to her, but it's not as strong as
To Diana.
Yeah, it's to Diana.
And I guess that's one way of thinking about it too, when you're drawn to them for specific reasons or because you find them so fascinating because of something that they're capable of or attributes that they carry or what they can do. So, since we have Demeter and Hecate here, I'm not going to mention names, and I'm not saying this in a negative way towards you if you're watching.
Hey, don't hate us.
We're calling this a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
The more you know. So, Hecate is involved with different stories with Demeter, Persephone, and Hades. So, if you're wanting to work with deities because you think they're cool, again, not doubting you guys, anyone, but if they don't get along, don't put them together. So, Hecate and Hades, they both have underworld attributes, power there, power over spirits, things like that. But I wouldn't put them together on an altar.
They're not consorts.
Now, Persephone and Hades, yeah, I see no problem. But if they don't get along, I mean, stuff can go flying. They might knock each other off the altar. Your life might just go to hell.
Yeah, they could create havoc in your life. Havoc.
Dr. Pepper.
Sorry, face boogers. Yeah, so study the history of your deities and stuff like that. Now, now people are going to be like, well, Cernunnos comes from Celtic, and Diana comes from the Roman Greco side of things. If you look through history and the practices of witchcraft, they actually do get along. A lot of people have worked with them together.
Kind of like Cernunnos and Aradia, daughter of Diana. But I noticed that it's pretty common in a lot of different Wiccan books to work with Cernunnos and Aradia.
It's done in Witch's Bible by Janet Surfer. Most of their works, they're paired together.
Yeah, and then also Witchcraft Theory Practice by Lady Angeles. I don't really remember Cunningham. He kind of worked with different.
Yeah, Cunningham was.
variations.
I think he just used a generic god and goddess term.
Yeah. I know some of his rituals and some of Buckland's did call to Diana, but I don't remember much about Cernunnos.
Yeah.
I've done rituals with Cernunnos, but I wouldn't consider him my patron.
Yeah,
Me and him get along, and we kind of have the same problem too when we evoke male deities. Hey.
Thou shouldst not check out thy god. They don't have a problem with it. Well, at least Cernunnos don't.
Han doesn't either. I'm like, oh, that ritual. Han was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, back on topic.
So, but yeah. That's just what we do with our patron deities. Like with Hecate, she has her own separate shrine. She has her own candles that burn.
I have her own offering cup, her own incense burner, her own candles, her own. I even have a pillar in which I set her. It looks like a Roman Greco pillar. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
And then I have an iron key that we got from a friend, as well as some other tools I use when I work with her. When doing offerings, offer things that the deity likes. With me, I don't recommend using psychotropic herbs for other people. You have to know what you're doing. But use herbs that are associated with the deity. If you don't, and I don't recommend using psychotropic, so use garlic, use onion. Some people will use pomegranate. Yes, bread works really good, but I'm not, it varies. Like during the fall season, I will, but that's not a everyday thing. Milk. Honey, I'll use. Eggs. Wine. She loves wine. She don't like the wine I like. She likes the good wine.
Yeah.
I like Kool-Aid wine.
Yeah, he likes the really sweet wines, and we've noticed this with the other deities that we have shrines to, is that we have little offering cups for them, and we'll pour wine in them when we're doing devotional work. At least once a week, we pour them a fresh cup.
Did we talk about that invocation? Because that's kind of funny.
Which one?
Yeah. I think we've talked about it before.
Maybe. But, before we get to that, so we'll give them these offering cups of, red wine, just standard Merlot. They love it. They will drink it down, it evaporates very quick, and, they like it. But when we put white wine in the cup,
it varies on the deity.
Yeah, it won't evaporate. With the goddess of fortune, I think her name's pronounced Tyche. I might be pronouncing that wrong.
Fortuna is what a lot of people refer to her as.
Fortuna, and daughter of Jove. And she does not like white wine. We've tried putting white wine.
Sorry.
Okay. And she doesn't like white wine. she will not touch it. It just stays there full, and we'll leave it there for a week.
Hecate don't like it either.
Hecate
She
is
likes
not-
red.
Yeah,
She likes her dark red wines.
yeah. Fortuna likes red wine. Diana, she likes white wine.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So we usually try to keep a bottle on hand, but one of us is kind of bad.
Judging you.
Yeah. Okay, go on with Pan.
Oh, so one night we decided, this is funny, back to if deities like something or not. We did an invocation of Pan, and would it still be considered a full god form assumption?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So I was invoking Pan, and I don't remember much of the ritual, but what I remember from it was after I came out of the invocation and I returned to myself, Brian was laughing because I guess he was trying to pour Pan some of my wine to drink, and apparently it was like, ugh.
Yeah, we have two types of wine that we use in ritual. There's his wine, which is like the
It's like the Kool-Aid.
Arbor Mist type stuff. And I don't really care for sweet wines, but it's what he likes to use during ritual. I prefer like a regular red Merlot, stuff like that. So we're sitting there, and he does the invocation, and so Pan's like, drink, I want to drink, and so I poured him. So we had this pretty big, good sized ritual goblet that we use. So I poured his wine in there, and he spat it out. He was like, ugh. And then I was like, what? And he was like, I want real wine. I was like, okay. So I poured him some of mine, and he slammed it.
I can't slam red wine.
Yeah, and he, I poured him another glass, and he was just like, more, and so he drank more, and he drank more, and he drank more, and I was like, okay, homie, you need to slow it down because he don't
didn't
drink
have
that
a
much.
bottle by the end of the ritual.
Yeah.
It was a big bottle too.
Yeah, and so he was pretty coherent, moving around fine and everything like that. The ritual lasted for quite a while, and he came back to normal consciousness. Pan split. And he was like, did everything go okay? 5 seconds later, he could barely walk. Yeah, it hit him really hard. It was interesting to see. But I've heard of other people who do channeling work, and the same things happen to them. But yeah, so some deities have their preferences.
Side note, when doing invocation of any sort and you're working with someone, excuse my language, but fucking catch them. I cannot say how irritating it is when you get out of an invocation and everyone's like, oh my god, that was so awesome, and then you fall and smack your head on a hard tile floor or concrete floor. Usually you don't feel it after, but still, manners.
Yeah.
He catches me and I catch him.
Yeah.
It's like trust fall, baby. Whee!
Don't fall forward when you trust fall.
Mm-mm.
Like
Hopefully
when you're
not.
working with, like let's say you're not of age to buy alcohol. Grape juice. It comes in two colors.
Welch's.
Mm-hmm.
Use the red one.
Or the white one, depending on the deity that you're working with. They understand you're not of age.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do something.
I've used apple juice and gotten results.
Oh yeah. One night we were doing some ritual work. I drank a whole thing of apple cider. Oh my god, I was so full afterwards.
Oh, it's so awesome. Yummy.
And they liked it. So
If you can't, then brew your own. I've mixed some cinnamon and orange peel together into a really tasty infusion. It's basically a tea.
yeah, and if you have a problem with alcohol and you can't drink, apple juice, orange juice. No, not orange juice. Apple juice.
Pretty much a relaxing drink, nothing too tangy.
You can use tea. Something that's mellow.
Chamomile.
Yeah, mint, stuff like that. That helps out a lot, especially if you're not a drinker. We're not saying that you should have to have alcohol when you're doing these type of ritual works. No,
You don't. There's different avenues of going into altered states of consciousness. I
Yeah.
feel like we're going into a whole nother video.
Yeah,
Alright,
but your
another video topic.
Yeah, but your deities will understand that you can't drink. They're not going to be like, oh no, I'm not going to talk to you because you won't buy me booze.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a bad friend.
Yeah, it sounds like dealing with minors. When you go to the gas station, people are like, can you buy me alcohol?
No.
As you walk out with a case of beer. No, I'm not going to buy you one, but I'll buy me some.
See this? You'll be there in years. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, no one's asked us that. Anyways, back on topic. So, when you're setting up a shrine, make sure that you have symbols that are pertinent to that deity. If they have absolutely nothing to do with, let's say, carnations. I mean, some of them, they'll be like, oh, thank you, pretty. But sometimes if you offer something like that, or something that they absolutely don't like white wine, if they don't like it, don't give it to them. repeatedly, over and over. First time, okay. You didn't like it? I'm sorry, I did not know. Let me try this again. But giving them the same thing that they don't like over and over isn't really a good way to get them on your side.
Yeah.
If they have certain colors that they like, put that as their altar cloth. Put those candles on their altar. Things that they enjoy, symbols of them. If, like Hecate, I'll use keys. I've used symbols of serpents in the past. Eggs, torches, candles, daggers, things that represent her. Look at their imagery, see if there's something there. If they have specific animals, like I said, the serpent, the owl, the stag. Look into that. Why is it such a valuable symbol with them? What is it that they do that is the reason behind this?
Yeah, study the mythos of your deity, your patron that you're working with. Let's say you don't have a specific deity or haven't chosen one. That's fine. You can just get a regular generic goddess statue, and I like this one. I got it.
That one's pretty.
Yeah, I bought her at a local shop, and when I grabbed her, she just kind of stood out to me. I got her, and she's just really buzzy. She had a very strong vibrational feel, and she was actually one of the other women who was working in the store at the time touched her, and she's like, she's hot, and I was like, I know. So she go home with me.
You're like, I know.
Yeah, but when I'm not when I'm feeling non-paradigmal, or I don't want to work with a specific entity, she's on the altar. But mostly she goes to my travel altar. We got to do a video on those. Those are fun.
Okay.
And when I go home for an unexpected amount of time that's going to last longer than a week, I take a travel altar with me and I put her in there. Now, what have you ever experiences with deities who have said no? Didn't want to work with you?
Don't keep calling them.
Yeah.
It's like being a creepy ex and trying to call them. Yeah. I'm saying you're the creepy ex if you do that. They're not the creepy ex, you are.
Yeah. And you're gonna sometimes you get attracted to deities that aren't really right for you, and it's something that's dealing with your personality.
Sometimes it's something that you lack in your personality, and it's something that they carry very well with themselves. If you're a very bright, happy-go-lucky person, and I'm trying to think if you would be considered a deity, Typhon. Kind of. So let's say you're a happy-go-lucky person, and you're trying to work with the deity Typhon.
Or Set.
Maybe they're not going to want to work with you because they think you're weird or not their type.
Yeah, usually there's certain personality traits that click with deities. It's like how you won't hang out with certain people because they act certain ways. Not because you don't like them, but kind of get on nerves.
They're kind of annoying.
And some deities can be cliquish.
Yeah. I like to, whenever I explain deities to people in public, I like to explain it like it's high school. It's the easiest way to think about it. Okay, pick a deity. Apollo. He's like the very artistic dude, but he's not like a stoner. He's very artistic, very goal-driven, and he's very good with his words. Think of it like that, but he's really sexy.
He's kind of like the smart jock.
Yes, but not an asshole.
Well, he has his moments, but
everyone does.
Yeah.
But I'm saying an everyday thing, he's not going to be an ass.
Yeah.
He's very good at planning things ahead, seeing things with the bigger picture.
Yeah. And I've tried working with Apollo. He doesn't like, he won't, he doesn't want to, he doesn't really work with me.
It's like when I try to invoke Baphomet. She's like, no.
Yeah.
But Aphrodite, she'd be like the beauty queen, the one everyone wants to be, the one everybody wants to date. But probably not going to get the time of day to most guys or girls.
Yeah, she wouldn't work with me either.
I can't say I've tried calling her.
Yeah, I've tried calling her when I was first getting my practice because I normally knew a few of the Olympian gods. Mm-hmm. And Aphrodite really, her and our personalities didn't mesh because I was all dark and brooding.
I kind of want to try invoking Aphrodite now just to see.
So I would wear in high school, I was goth before it was cool. I was emo before it was cool.
Hipster.
Yes. No, I wasn't a hipster. My pants fit. No offense. But seriously, get some pants that fit.
Pull up your pants too. Anyone.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if you're hipster or not. Wear a belt.
Mm-hmm.
No offense. But
Yeah. So a lot of those light, flowery, and fluffy deities didn't really mesh well with me.
Aphrodite has a dark side though. Yeah. Was it Old World Witchcraft? Or was it the other one? Grimoire, Thornblood Witch. where he's talking about Venus being a derivative of Venefica, or to poison.
Mm-hmm.
The powers of love can be very intense. It's so powerful that it can go so dark. It can be so happy and it can be so hateful.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it, a lot of times, sometimes murder is inspired by what was once love.
Mm-hmm.
She can get dark too.
Mm-hmm.
Ow. No, I'm just kidding. See?
So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Already?
30 minutes.
Girl.
Okay. Well, that's it for now.
We'll maybe try to do another video. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
easier
we'll
for
talk to you guys later. Again, totembroom@gmail.com if you have any questions.
Or comment.
Like, comment, post, down there.
If you have a video request, by all means.
Yes, we're running out of... We have a list, but we're running out of stuff. So, we will talk to you guys next time.
Bye.